saw Morbius, so you don't have to. You don't. I'm Jess with For the Plot, and here come my opinions. The first trailer for Morbius actually came out in January of 2020, but like a lot of movies at that time, the release date got pushed back. And I remember that first trailer and the feeling of being completely uninterested. And I'm not entirely sure why. Because here's the thing, I love vampire movies, and Morbius has all the characteristics of a good vampire story. I've literally read books with the same vampire doctor trope. It's a great trope. So why wasn't I interested in Morbius? Well, after watching it, now I know. It's because my instincts are incredible. This movie was a mess from start to second mid-credit scene, and I have no idea if there was a third because I didn't stick around to find out. Starting with the opening scenes, we see Morbius trying to collect bats. Then we jump back 25 years to his childhood where we find out he's suffering from a serious blood disease. Then we jump forward again. Now he's a famous doctor trying to cure that blood disease by fusing human and bat DNA. What?
Well, you got me. By all accounts, it doesn't make sense.
They never really go into any details about why Morbius chose bats, other than that they consume blood and they're strong for their size. So basically his plan is to go from a person who needs regular blood transfusions in order to live to a hybrid who regularly drinks blood in order to live. I have no idea what problem he's solving here, but apparently bats don't suffer from blood disease? Now you might be thinking, so what? It's a superhero movie. We don't need them to give us the details in order to suspend our disbelief because everybody and their brother in the MCU has weird powers for weird reasons. Except Morbius's powers go way beyond what seems plausible given his origins. You put a bat and a guy together, you expect super strength, maybe echolocation, he can smell blood from a great distance, but this guy, he can send an echo across half the city without even using his voice, and he can hear a single person from the same distance. He has something weird going on with his eyeballs all the time. Like, what is this? He can fly without wings, and by the end of the movie, he learns how to bat bend and Kamehameha bat blast the bad guy, which honestly was the most ridiculous thing I've seen in a movie in a long time. These aren't bat powers, these are vampire powers. And the standard vampire's abilities are supernatural in origin, so they can basically do whatever they want and say it's because of magic. But Morbius doesn't get that excuse because his powers are genetic, and he gets them from an actual bat, so it doesn't make any sense. But even if you ignore all of that absurdity, there's still one thing about this movie that bothers me the most. From the beginning, Morbius is a genius. He's gifted and he wants to use that gift to help people. Specifically his best friend, who suffers from the same blood disease and eventually turns into a vampire also. But as soon as Morbius becomes a vampire, all of that character development is thrown out the window. Rather than trying to come up with a plan to undo their transformations, Morbius spends most of the movie either tracking his blood consumption or running and hiding from everybody. And when Morbius does finally get a lab to do some work, his only solution is a serum that will kill the both of them. Like, he spent his entire life trying to cure his friend, and now he says he's gonna kill the guy without even flinching? This could have easily been written differently. Morbius is smart. He could have set a trap to capture his best friend and run some tests. You know, use his big brain. Instead, we watch Lucius dance around, eat people, try to convince Morbius to be a vampire. Like, the dude was a vampire for a week and suddenly it's his whole personality. I think what it comes down to is the makers of this movie were more interested in creating a Marvel-level film, bigger, stronger, more epic, rather than taking the time to tell a good story. Now, you might be thinking my opinions are a bit harsh, and I did consider the possibility that I came to this movie with a negative attitude, and that impacted my ability to see any good in it. After all, some of the comments on TikTok were pretty positive, which is why I took to the internet to look up some other reviews and get a second opinion. And it was even worse! Or just as bad as I thought it was. So I can only assume anybody who liked this movie was either paid to say so or a member of Leto's cult, because this movie sucked. And I will not be gaslit into thinking otherwise. In fact, this movie is doing so poorly, I wonder if they're even going to make the second one. Because this was set up for a sequel. Like I mentioned earlier, there were 2 mid-credit scenes. The first, leaking Morbius to the Spider-Verse via No Way Home. And the second, showing Morbius teaming up with the Vulture. For some reason. We can only hope it doesn't happen or they get some new writers on the team. If you saw Morbius, I'm sorry I couldn't get to you sooner. But share your thoughts in the comments down below. Thanks for watching, and until next time, have a great week.